Hey everyone, and welcome back to Episode Breakdown. I'm your host, Oliver, and today we are diving deep into one of the most tense, shocking, and thematically rich episodes of Alien Earth, Episode 6, The Fly. Now, this is a full spoiler review. We are cracking this episode open like a facehugger egg and pulling out all the guts. So if you haven't seen it yet, do yourself a favor, watch it, and then come back here. Trust me, you do not want it spoiled. The Fly is an absolutely perfect title for this episode, and not just for the new horrifying aliens it introduces. It represents the single point of failure, the tiny, negligent mistake in a complex system that causes everything to come crashing down.
All children, except one, grow up.
The episode opens with Boy Cavalier resuming his role as a sinister Peter Pan, reading to the hybrids over the facility's PA system. This act immediately reestablishes the dynamic of ownership and control he holds over the Lost Boys, a dynamic that is already beginning to fray. Wendy is shown attempting to communicate with the juvenile xenomorph, creating clicking and trilling sounds that the creature appears to recognize and even mimic. This fascination positions her as a potential mother figure, believing this creature could be good and fundamentally misunderstood, a stark contrast to her brother's view of them as perfect killing machines. Hermit and the Kirsch observe Wendy as she stands before the containment cell of the juvenile xenomorph. The creature has grown exponentially since its violent birth from Hermit's harvested lung and is now agile, near-adolescent creature rapidly evolving within its brutalist gray habitat cage. Hermit expresses deep concern for his sister's safety, but Kirsch dismissively reassures him, reminding Hermit that Wendy single-handedly killed a fully grown xenomorph. He mockingly belittles her dream of taking Wendy home to live as a family, reinforcing that the hybrids are Prodigy's property, and their future is tied to the company's grand starfaring ambitions. Dame Sylvia, her husband Arthur, and the callous Prodigy executive Adam Ines observe the dormant hybrid, Nibs. She is suffering from severe trauma and delusions following her experience at the Maginot crash site, convinced she was pregnant. Adam Ines, portrayed as a corporate suit with a pop collar, reminiscent of Paul Reiser's Carter Burke in Aliens, declares her a faulty product that must be fixed in time for the hybrid's public debut to the 5 ruling corporations in 3 weeks. He orders a full memory wipe, erasing the past week of her life. Arthur passionately argued that this is a violation of her consciousness and akin to a lobotomy, but Dame Sylvia, while initially objecting, ultimately agreed to perform the procedure. As a consequence for his defiance, Adam Ines immediately fires Arthur.
Then do it. You're fired.
Boy Cavalier and Kirsch travel off-island for a formal arbitration meeting with the CEO of Weyland-Yutani, moderated by a representative of the Five. In a deliberate display of disrespect, particularly potent given Japanese cultural norms around bare feet, Cavalier arrives late and barefoot, even placing his feet on the conference table. He aggressively accuses Yutani of a corporate cover-up, framing the Maginot crash as a negligent or even intentional act of ecological terrorism against his city, New Saigon. He peddles a story of Yutani smuggling invasive species, a bold-faced lie given his own role in orchestrating the sabotage. Yutani, seemingly caught off guard by his audacity, admits the specimens were destined for an off-planet research facility, and desperately offers a $20 billion settlement to get them back.
For his pain and suffering.
20.
15.
25.
20 it is.
Cavalier feigns concern for planetary safety, citing a mandatory 6-week quarantine protocol that he insists must be enforced. This legal maneuver allows him to keep the aliens on his island, humiliating Yutani and securing his prized possessions. A critical question raised by reviewers is why Yutani did not present evidence of Cavalier's sabotage, which Morrow had previously uncovered, suggesting a potential strategic misstep or a car being saved for a later play. In one of the episode's most celebrated scenes, the 2 corporate fixers, Kirsch and Morrow, share a 10th elevator ride. They exchange passive-aggressive, pointed insults, each questioning their relevance and loyalty in the face of the new hybrid technology, which threatens to make them both obsolete. This Watcher versus Watcher stand-up highlights their cold, calculating natures and establishes a key rivalry.
The almost human, self-hating machine.
Sure. Yesterday's model, the incredibly irrelevant robot. Who wouldn't want to be you?
Dame Sylvia successfully performs the memory wipe on Nibs. When Wendy visits her friend, she quickly realizes that Nib has no memory of the crash, the attack, or her claimed pregnancy. Nibs is confused and frightened by the gaps in her memory, while Wendy is horrified by this violation of her friend's identity and autonomy. Back on the island, Slightly remains under Morrow's psychological thumb. Morrow continues to haunt his thoughts, threatening his mother's life if he does not deliver a human host to a facehugger. Slightly's desperation is palpable. He is jittery, nervous, and visibly on edge. In a moment of panic, he even approaches Hermit with a poorly disguised plan to lure him into the lab, but Hermit is called away on patrol before the trap can be sprung. This failure deepens Slightly's isolation and fear, making him a ticking bomb ready to sacrifice anyone to save his mother. This sequence is the horrific centerpiece of the episode. With Kirsch absent, the eager-to-please hybrid Toodles is tasked with feeding the specimens. Ignoring protocol to take another hybrid with him, he goes alone. In the lab, he attempts to feed the fly specimens, large insectoid creatures that have built a hive in their cell. He accidentally breaks the feeding slot door and instead of calling for help, makes the fatal decision to prop the main cell door open and enter. The scene is observed by the T. ocellus, the eyeball creature, which is still residing within its sheep host. In a chilling echo of its actions on the Maginot crash, the ocellus deliberately ramps the glass of its enclosure, startling Toodles and causing him to slip. The door swings shut, locking him inside with the flies. The creatures immediately descend, spraying a corrosive acid that dissolves Toodles' synthetic face. It is then revealed that these aliens feed on inorganic material and they begin consuming his robotic components. The ocellus, having orchestrated the death, calmly returns to its food tray. This scene confirms the creature's intelligence and its role as an instigator, creating distractions to benefit other species.
Wendy, what did you do to her?
Wendy confronts Dame Sylvia, who defensively justifies the act by referring to Nip's trauma as corrupt data that needed to be cleansed. This moment is a profound awakening for Wendy, who tells Sylvia, "I don't want to be people anymore if this is what people are." She now sees a direct parallel between the aliens being experimented on and the hybrids themselves, all are specimens and property to the humans in charge. Hermit, now fully aware the island is a gilded prison, actively plots an escape. He sketches maps and questions his fellow soldiers about exit routes, but they caution him against risking a stable paying job. His breakthrough comes when he meets the recently fired Arthur, who's packing his belongings. While paying lip service to the surveillance cameras that Wendy is safe, Arthur secretly types a warning on his computer screen. Take her and get her out, providing his boat code to escape. He also disables the tracking on the hybrids, a final act of defiance and compassion. As Hermit leaves, Arthur notices an alert on his monitor. Toodles' signal has gone offline in the restricted lab. Arthur arrives to investigate Toodles' signal loss. This is the opportunity Slightly has been waiting for. As Arthur enters the lab, Slightly triggers a containment door to the facehugger eggs, locking Arthur inside. A facehugger emerges and attacks Arthur, subduing him and attaching itself to his face. Sally then drags the unconscious body into a large air duct to hide him, presumably for later retrieval by Morrow's forces. In the chaos, the door to the fly cell remains open, allowing them to escape into the lab. A point-of-view shot from one of the flies shows it nearly following Slightly into the vent, confirming that multiple threats are now loose. Throughout this catastrophe, Kirsch watches the security feeds remotely on his tablet during the flight back to the island. He sees Toodles' death, Slightly sabotage, and Arthur space hugging. When Boyd Cavalier casually asks if everything is alright, Kirsch, after a subtle pause, simply replies affirmative.
Everything okay?
Affirmative.
This deliberate lie is a monumental act of mutiny, leaving Cavalier ignorant of the escalating disaster and cementing Kirsch's own inscrutable agenda. The episode ends with shots of the empty lab and a silent red alert emergency. The ocellus in his sheep host stares directly into a security camera, a silent witness to the chaos it helped create. The Fly is a critically acclaimed episode of Alien Earth that masterfully builds tension and advances the season's plot. It uses its sci-fi horror premise to explore profound themes. The story contrasts childish idealism with the cynical compromises of adulthood, suggesting that maturity in this world means learning to exploit others. It argues that the true monster is not the alien, but corporate hubris and human error, where a cascade of negligence and ethical sacrifice leads to catastrophe. Central to this is the question of identity and autonomy, exploring what makes a person beyond mere biology. The episode was praised as a return to form, with highlights including its mounting dread, corporate intrigue, shocking sequences like Toodles' death, and tense character moments. Minor criticisms pointed to some plot conveniences. The episode sets the stage for the season's finale with several crucial developments. Arthur is implanted with a xenomorph embryo. Kirsch makes lies to his superiors, marking an open rebellion. Multiple alien specimens are now loose on the island. The ideological divide between Wendy and her brothers sets to come to a head. In conclusion, The Fly is a masterful chapter that skillfully blends intellectual themes with visceral horror, creating a bloody and chaotic stage for the season's final act. It successfully merges character drama with sci-fi horror, setting a chaotic stage for the season's final act. What did you think of The Fly? Did Wendy's rejection of humanity shock you? Where do you think Kirsch's loyalties truly lie? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives, and I'll see you in the next one.